Really chat.
I have a lot of issues.
Being in the audience, I always sat in front when Gary was on stage. And sometimes he'd get talking so fast he would give a wrong date or he'd say a wrong name. And I go, no, Gary, it was 1991. No, Gary, it was last year. And he'd say, oh, honey, thanks. But I thrilled always at being in his audience. He never said the same thing twice. He was funny. He was so entertaining. And his knowledge was the knowledge of a genius that he so desperately wanted to give to the world. And we're all here because of that. Gary always believed that everyone had the right and the ability to control their destiny by how they thought. We project out there into the universe that which comes back to us. And I believe that with the terrible accident that he suffered, that he still projected being able to walk again, being able to ride his horse in the mountains. And he never gave up on those thoughts. And he defied all medical prognosis. He defied medical science. He defied the medical profession. Number one, he should have died. And number two, he never should have walked again. He was a walking miracle. And he said that if God would give him back his legs, he would spend the rest of his life serving God's children. I so appreciate the beautiful executive team that we have. You see these beautiful people who are here and those who are not here. those who you've not yet heard from. But I consider them my friends. I love being with them. We share our thoughts and our feelings. And I absolutely believe that God sent Jared into our lives because Gary, in his heart, he knew he was not going to be here much longer. And he needed someone to lead, not just me. He needed a Jared. And he and Jared had such a bond. They loved each other in a way that only they understand. And Gary knew that Jared would lead and carry the mission of Young Living as Gary taught him. And it was a great and glorious time for Gary when he was able to be with Jared and to teach him. Jared's a hothead. And Jared has a very big personality. And sometimes I have to say, Jared. But he loves what he does, and you can tell how much he loves Young Living. And he loves you, as do all the others. And so it's a great and glorious time for me as I sort of walk in Gary's shoes. But I walk with them. I'm not alone. I have them. And I couldn't do this without them. Jared said, tell stories. I've never been one really to talk about myself. I love to talk about Jared because it's such an amazing story. But people always ask me, how did it all come about? How did it begin? I'm going to tell you a little bit. This is 7-month-old Mary. And you look at my face, you can see determination there. Kind of sassy, wouldn't you say, at age 4? Always reading, always studying. Dad had a degree in finance from the University of Utah. But my mother's brother used to run around and call him Dr. Billiter and promoted the idea of becoming a chiropractor. So at age 5, we moved to Davenport, Iowa, where Dad attended and graduated from the Palmer School of Chiropractic. We lived in student housing, and they allotted a plot of land for all of the residents there in student housing so they could have a garden. And my sister and I would always go with Dad when he came home from work down to the garden to do the watering and pull weeds. And the vegetables grew so well. And I got the idea to go sell radishes to the neighbors. And with those dimes and quarters, let me tell you, I thought I was rich. It was so much fun, and I do have quite a vivid memory of that. I was the first of 6. And so I watched my father grow as a chiropractor. I was fascinated with what I saw, but I also couldn't understand a lot of things that he did. My father started the Chiropractors Credit Union, and I was amazed how fast he typed on that old typewriter. Oh my goodness, it was amazing. We'd all laugh if we saw that today. But his books were meticulous, and when the auditors came, they never found a single problem. Dad was so frugal, and he handled all the money and paid all the bills. He didn't even let my mother go grocery shopping. When she had a list of things she needed, she'd call him on the phone and give him her list, and he'd drive to a discount grocery store on his way home, and he'd buy what he thought we needed, not particularly what was on Mother's list. I could never understand that. In my entire growing up years, I can only remember twice when we went out to eat as a family. We had only one car, and it was only on Friday that Dad would let Mom drive him to work so she could have the car on Fridays. I could never understand that. I took this picture 2 weeks ago. I wanted to go back and see what the old place looked like. And see that empty square in the middle? That's where he had his name. This was an old apartment complex that belonged to my grandfather. And in the will, he willed it to my mother. And so my father was able to have his office in this dilapidated old apartment complex. It was so amazing. It was so simple. It was so ordinary. It was so low class. Dad only charged $5 for a patient visit. Mother said that he charged that amount because he didn't want anybody not to come because they didn't have enough money. My sister and I often talked about that and wondered why Dad would charge so little. We always had a garden. We always had fruit trees. We always did our own bottling. Every 4th of July, when everybody else got to sleep in, we had to get out of bed and go pick cherries. 1,000 pounds. But let me tell you, cherry juice is the most delicious drink you can imagine when it's made from organic cherries with no additives. Oh, so delicious. This is typical of what we did. From an early age, I learned how to work hard. I learned the value of hard work, and I like to work. I like to be able to see things accomplished. And when I start to do something, I don't like to stop until it's finished. I was so independent. I'll do it myself. Don't tell me what to do. I'll figure it out. In school, in those days, once you took driver's ed in school, you could go and get your driver's license. My birthday was in June. So when we had to fill out the paperwork, I put J and let them think it was January. So I could take driver's ed in the first half, and I got my driver's license at 15 and a half. Do you know what that meant to me? Freedom! But my great love was music. I can remember when I was in 6th grade, my teacher stood me on a chair to sing Silent Night. My mother always had me singing somewhere. My first singing engagement was when I was 3 years old, and I sang I Love You Truly at somebody's wedding. I don't remember the wedding, but I remember singing, and I remember my pretty dress. I wanted to go to Europe. I wanted to become a great opera singer, even though I had no idea what that meant. But the great teachers were in Europe then. I think the best teachers are in America now. Oh, you're a sweetheart. Thank you. Oh, I will be careful. I'll keep it here. I had a friend who wanted to go to Europe, so together we went to Switzerland to study French. One of my favorite things was to go into a bookstore and look at maps. I loved navigating. I loved experimenting and discovering the unknown. But we looked at this big map of Europe, and I said, hey, let's hitchhike around the Mediterranean. She said, oh, that's a great idea. You know, it's kind of like Gary when he decided to dog race in Alaska. There's no someday on the calendar, so if you've got it in your mind, go for it. We had a rule. We were always dressed nicely. We had only the little knapsack that you can see there on my back. We had nothing else. The car had to be clean, one driver, and he had to be nicely dressed. And you know what? The stories are absolutely was a magnificent time of my life in discovering the world. We ended up in Beirut, Lebanon, and we became stewardesses for Middle East Airlines, based in Beirut. I traveled all over Africa and Europe, and I saw the world at their expense. We were there during the Six-Day War in 1967, and I took an evacuation flight out to Rome. You know what? Gloria Lynn went home. I was the first American back in Beirut. But I discovered that being a stewardess, and I'm sorry if there's any of you out there, but for me, it was a glorified waitress job, and I wanted to sing. So after 2 months, I resigned and went to Europe. Oh my goodness, you guys are really going the mile. I really like the water on the floor right there. I had to walk clear over there to get it. I auditioned for a well-known voice teacher in Vienna, and I spent 7 years gaining a most amazing education. I show this picture because to me it's interesting. It's part of my story. The first girl was from Iraq, and she had a magnificent voice. The next girl was from Wales, and she had a beautiful mezzo voice. The two girls in the middle were sisters from Iran. They had beautiful voices. I started to see, what is this real world of music, of opera? Where did I fit in? This was the first concert that my teacher presented, and we were all part of that, and it was a wonderful memory. This was the Academy. It was called the Academy für Musik und Darstellende Kunst. It changed its name. It became the University for Music and the Performing Arts. I was quite amazed when I went back. It was a glorious time. This was my first opera, written by Mozart when he was 12 years old, that was sung in the Music Academy Theater. Oh, we had fun. I had the opportunity of being asked to come and sing the role of Pauline in La Vie Parisienne in the Stadttheater Klagenfurt in southern Austria. It was a lot of fun. But you know, I started to discover things. I didn't fit. I was different. Somehow, I didn't like to go out and drink and smoke and get drunk after the performances. I was just different. Susanna in The Marriage of Figaro, Despina and Cose fan tutte are probably two of my most favorite roles. They were sung in this beautiful little opera house, in the Schönbrunner Schloss Theater, which was the opera house on the grounds of the Kaiser's Palace, his summer residence in Vienna. It was a glorious experience. And when we finished, and I walked down the sidewalk towards the big wrought iron fence that went all around, and I walked through the gate to my VW, I unlocked it, and I sat down. I put my hands on the steering wheel, and this horrendous feeling came over me that it was time to go home. After this glorious experience and how much I loved Europe, and I loved everything I did there. I loved speaking German. I loved the language. I loved the cultures. I loved everything I loved about it. And this feeling comes over me, time to go home. I was offered the opportunity to sing the role of Adele in Die Fledermaus, which is a fabulous, fabulous role. Could you turn it down if you had the opportunity to sing in this opera house? And this is just outside of Vienna. So even with that feeling of needing to go home, I had to stay to sing one more role. There was a gentleman by the name of Blake Peterson who was the tenor in the Zurich Opera, and he was from Utah. And I met with him while I was in Europe, and he said, Mary, I'm going to go home and I'm going to start an opera company in Utah. He said, do you want to help me start it? And I just, I love Europe. I'm happy here. But when this feeling came over me, I came home about 2 months after Blake came home, and he called me. And together, with all of my other singing friends in Utah, we started Utah Opera. And I sang with them for 10 years. And you know what? I got to sing Fledermaus again. It was so fabulous. Hi, honey. No. Is that better? I'll think about it. I was able to sing the role of Musette in La Boheme. I sang Norina in Don Pasquale, which was a fabulous, fabulous opera. Yeah. These are some of the roles that I sang. But my father got the harebrained idea to invest in a gold mine in Colombia. But it didn't exist. And there were a lot of people who invested and a lot of people who lost a lot of money. And I actually think this investment is what killed my father. He just couldn't take the embarrassment of being involved in something that was not real, that was a lie. My brother and another friend and I all went down to Colombia. We got a mining concession from the government and we tried to recover what we had lost. I love driving big equipment. Here we were cleaning out the sluice. Well, you know, down there they use mercury in the sand and everything. I didn't know how dangerous mercury was. And I had mercury poisoning when I came home after I married Gary. I did a whole month of chelation and all kinds of things. I used to get really sharp pains in my head. And for the most part, they stopped. But every now and then, I still have a pain come now and then. It doesn't last very long. That's one reason why I take a capsule of Helichrysum every day. Sometimes I feel a block in my memory. I don't know, but you just deal with those kinds of things. Life just goes on. You just can't let little things like that get in your way. This looks like a lot of gold. Well, let me tell you, it barely paid all the expenses, so don't let your imagination run away with you. I had another little business, a little t-shirt business, and I had a booth at the Utah State Fair. And while Mother was in the booth, I was running around talking to people, and I met a gentleman in another booth who was selling aluminum welding rod. And we needed aluminum welding rod for the mine. And right in the middle of the conversation, he pulled a bottle of stevia out of his pocket and stuck it in my face and said, "Are you interested in a natural sweetener?" Well, I might be. He had no idea who he was talking to. Invited me to a meeting. I went. I knew nothing. I didn't like network marketing. Anybody relate? Because I thought that all the people at the top sucked the money from the people at the bottom, and I was at the bottom, and I didn't like it. If only my sponsor had explained the business to me. You get it? You hear what I'm saying? commission check and I didn't know why. Now that's pretty lame, wouldn't you say? I thought, I didn't think actually too much of it. The next check was $100. Why? Well, I sat on my bed. I remember it was 2 o'clock in the morning, and I read their little policies and procedures, which was about 6 or 7 pages. I'm like, oh my goodness. Really? This is possible? I got so excited. I caught on. I started restructuring how I was building. My sponsor gave the first meeting for me, and I sat there and listened. I thought, this is no big deal. All you have to do is stand up and talk about a product that you like and why you like it. I can do this. I can do it better. And I never had anyone do another meeting for me ever. I was totally 100% self-made. And you can do that too. Anybody can stand up and say why they like peppermint. Anybody can say why they like Comfortone. I mean, everybody needs a moving experience. You just gotta be honest. And you know, we're lucky in Young Living. You don't have to remember what you said yesterday, because when you tell the truth, you don't have to remember. There are 3 traits, in my opinion, to finding someone who would like to build a business. 1, you gotta have a burning desire, a reason. I had a burning desire, let me tell you. We were so in debt. Hey, how about a fun personality, somebody who likes to talk? Isn't that what we do in this business? We talk. But it's interesting. You don't think people can talk. And then they get excited about something, and my goodness, their whole personality changes. I was sitting next to Gabby in Colombia, and he had one of the Mexican diamonds on stage, and she was so vivacious. It was so fun watching her, and I said to Gabby, my goodness, who's that? She's fantastic. He said, Mary, even her husband doesn't know who she is. She was excited. And if they're interested in health and helping people, you don't need any more. These qualities in any single individual will soar someone to a Royal Crown diamond. If people know how much you care about them, they will listen to what you say. And if what you say fills the need that they have, they will buy what you want. They will do what you want. I built my business for 10 years, and I had an absolutely glorious time. I felt such a tremendous responsibility for those who I sponsored. I wanted them to be successful. You know, one of the biggest problems that we have is that someone will sponsor someone, and then that individual never hears from them again. Like, they're going to become great, wonderful by themselves. Everyone likes to know that someone else cares about them. If they know you care, they will not leave you. In 10 years, I never had one person ask to leave my organization. Why? Because I loved them. I cared about them. I wanted them to be successful. You need to find out what their needs are. Answer their questions. Is there a meeting going on? Do you want to come and go with me? I love the industry because I loved helping people. I saw people excel and become better than what they ever thought they could. I can remember my dearest friend, Barbara Champion. She's 91. She lives in Albuquerque, and she was afraid of her shadow. I can remember saying, Barbara, stand up and tell us what you think about peppermint. Well, anybody can say what they think. She stood up and she told them what she thought. After that meeting, it was like a transformation. She discovered that she could speak. And the next thing I know, she's standing at the door greeting people. And then she's organizing her own meetings. And then she's doing the introductions. Oh my goodness, that is the reward. It's insane how people succeed in life. They become better. They discover what's inside of them that they didn't know was there. If you can do that for someone else, you are serving God's children. I used to say, it's only fun when everyone makes money. I didn't like making money. If you weren't making money, it didn't feel right to me. And I loved teaching about the business. I discovered that I loved the business as much as I loved the product. So I'd travel around, I'd meet with my teams, they'd do the product and I'd do the business, and we just had so much fun. But I'm just an opera singer. How can I do this business? Oh my goodness. My father had a degree in finance. I have a brother with a master's in finance who was a financial analyst for Pacific Gas and Electric in San Francisco. I have a sister who has a master's in business education and office management. I have another sister with a degree in HR, a brother with a degree in mechanics, another brother with a master's in marriage and family counseling, and I'm the opera singer, and I make more money than all of them. I love organizing. I love strategy. I love to sit down with someone and look at their organization and say, look at this and look at this. Can you see if you help this person build, this will advance you to silver? If you help this person build, you'll advance to gold. Look how you missed it by $100. Are you sitting down with your people and helping them analyze? Are you teaching them how to understand virtual office, the back office? How to strategize with their organizations? If you understand it, you need to be teaching your people. And in every meeting you give, you need to teach them how to strategize and understand their organizations. This is the power of building. It is so important, I cannot tell you. Zig Ziglar made the statement, if you help others get what they want, you'll get what you want to. I never gave thought to myself. It was never about, what is it going to do for me? How much money am I going to make? It was always about, how can I help them succeed? I truly have that feeling, and they felt that from me. And when we got together, we had so much fun. Everyone who considers themselves, I hate this word, to be a leader, should be at convention. Because you lead those in your organization and they will follow you. If you don't go, why should they go? If you don't come to this meeting, why should they go? If you don't learn how to do rate drop, why should they? If you don't use the products, why should they? You have to set the example, but you have to set it with love and kindness and caring and enthusiasm. That's how you build an organization. You don't build it by talking about money. Money is the side benefit. Money is the medium of exchange in our world. We have to have money. I know what it was like not to have any. Oh my goodness gracious, they used to laugh at me in the beginning because I paid up all the debt from the mining with my parents, my brother, myself. I paid it all off with this business that I discovered because somebody put a bottle of stevia in my face. It's hard to describe what it's like to have that feeling of success, of overcoming adversity until you've done it. But when you've been there and you can help someone else see the possibility, you have given them a gift. And the reward is not only theirs, but it's yours as well. You celebrate together. My goal was $2,000 a month, and I thought if I could make that much money, I could live the rest of my life without a complaint. You know, the end of that year, it was $10,000 a month, and I thought I was in heaven. I couldn't imagine so much money. My little VW didn't go in reverse, and it didn't have heat. And I used to park it there on the side of the garage so I could push it out because the road went down, and I got it out in the road, and I could push it myself. And I'd hop in and pop the clutch and start the engine. I had a friend say when I qualified for the car, he said, you should buy a Mercedes. I went, oh, Mercedes, oh my goodness, that's way beyond me. He said, no, Mary, if your business doesn't succeed, you can probably sell the Mercedes and not go in debt because it has such great resale value. Well, that's a thought. So I went down to Ken Garth in Salt Lake. Sorry, and I drove out this little 300D. And I cannot describe the feeling. I've never been able to describe that feeling. And that little car has over 200,000 miles on it and sits in the back by the barn. And it's still as fast as ever. 1991. Went to the Preparedness Expo. Bo Gritz was running for president. And I was sitting up at the very back of the bleachers. About 10,000 people there. And the very last thing he said was, make sure you check out those oils. Thank you very much. Walked off stage. What? What? What's he talking about? I love Bo. I love what he stood for. He was a true American. He was fighting for truth. And he spoke out against the American government and all the corruption and everything. And it was a tough road for him. But I loved it. I love it when people speak truth. I love it when they speak against the evil and the corruption and the lack of truth. And it's all around us. Gary and I were I shouldn't say are freedom fighters. Oh, honey, thank you. I'm laughing. I'm sorry, I'm on one. I walked down the aisle. There were so many people, you couldn't get to them. So I left. And I always liked to be the last person after the show was over because then most of the people were gone. So the show was over and I was just wandering around and here's a teenager behind this table. And I walked up and I said, so what are essential oils? Give me your spiel. Joseph, what are you doing? Oh, honey.
Oh, yeah, water there. All right.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Tasty?
Yes, thank you.
Refreshing?
Yes.
That tastes too long.
Thank you very much. Get out of here. And he said, well, I was supposed to wear trifocals, but because of the oils that I've been using, I don't have to. Well, that intrigued me. And he said, Dr. Young's standing out there in the aisle. You could go ask him what his formula was. I will be honest with you and tell you, I am not intimidated by anybody. And the closer I got to Gary, the more intimidated I felt. It was the weirdest feeling. And I walked up to him and he'd lost his voice because he'd been talking nonstop for 3 days. And And I said, well, the young boy over there behind the booth told me about your eye formula. And in his very raspy voice, he told me what to use. However, he didn't tell me that you need to mix the oils with a carrier oil like V6. So I'm putting a mixture of lemongrass, eucalyptus radiata, and lavender around my eyes. And 3 days later, the skin's peeling off under my eye. Please don't forget to tell people to use a carrier oil if they're going to do something like that. I was invited to a meeting. I couldn't go. I told them to call me. They called me. I was the lucky find. I went to the meeting. I didn't know anybody there. I'm going, say, yeah, this is great stuff. You know how we do. But I tell you, I was so fascinated. There were only about 30 people there. But I knew I had to find out who this scary young was. The next meeting I went to, Gary spoke. I believe that people who are looking for truth recognize it when they hear it. I am a truth seeker. And I would suspect that all of you here in this audience are truth seekers. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Don't try to convince somebody if they're resistant. Look for those who are looking for something, looking for that which you have to offer. Gary's office called me and wanted me to pick him up at the airport because he needed to go to the bank and get some money and batteries for his camera. This is in January of '92. I reluctantly picked him up. I did not want to go. I had no idea how this was going to change my life forever. He took me to lunch at the Hilton and offered me a job. And I had been very boisterous about his terrible marketing plan. And he said, well, I understand you don't like my marketing plan. And I said, well, who am I to tell you what kind of a marketing plan to have? He offered me a job as his marketing director. I said, what? I don't want a job. I'm financially independent. But I'll help you. When he returned from Egypt, we talked on the phone and this, that, and the other, and I watched him continue to struggle. I wrote the first trifold that didn't have any misspellings, bad grammar. In late 1993, he asked me if I would invest in his company and help him build it. And I said, no. Let's start a new company and be partners. When we were moving, oh my goodness, my voice is waking up. When we were moving from the old Lehigh offices over to our new building, I was going through Gary's old desk. And I was throwing a lot of papers out, seeing if there was anything worth saving. And I came across this letter. If you want to read the whole thing, it'll be in the museum, the new corporate headquarters. But I was absolutely astounded. I think we could really build a business together because we both have expertise in different areas. You have all the product knowledge and ability to formulate and create products. I love to do the marketing and will begin to create professional literature, packaging, and many things that are needed for this business. I also believe that it would be good to rewrite the marketing plan so there are incentives for distributors to build a business. This is the kicker. I know it is a hard pill to swallow, to see the business into which you put your heart and soul go down the tubes. But I think that which I am suggesting is a chance for a new beginning and an opportunity to really be successful. Young Living Essential Oils. When I tell people that I would rather sit in the back row, and not have to say anything, they laugh. I'm very shy. I'm timid. I am uncomfortable up here on stage. But I believe that we do what we need to do if it's going to benefit someone else. And sometimes we have to get out of our comfort zone. You know, performing is a slam dunk because you memorize it, you walk out on stage, you do your thing that you memorize, and you walk off the stage. No ad-libbing, no nothing. It's easy. Coming out here and standing on stage, ad-libbing, as you hear, you watch Jared, you watch Lee, you listen to Sarah, they're ad-libbing. But they're doing something that's going to benefit you. So get out of your comfort zone and don't be afraid.
Ready.
You want TV on?